Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Circle of the World podcast, where we discuss Joe Abercrombie's First Law series. I am one of your hosts, Lord Chamberlain Jeffrey, and here are my co-hosts.
Much like to George.
And Harrison, the Adeptus Historical.
During the next few episodes, we'll be doing special episodes with guest spots, and for our guest today, we'll be talking to Jordan Slamsley. So, let's get started. Did I say your name correctly?
Yes, you did.
Thank you.
Yes, if anyone is listening, it is a joke on Gordon Ramsay. I am Practical Slamsy.
Slamsley. Love it. Love it. First off, as usual, we want to thank all you guys for following along, listening to the episodes, generally just supporting us. I mean, it's been great to see people wanting to join on as guests, as Jordan over here is one of them. Just thank you all for your continued fealty, and please make sure to follow us on our social medias and our YouTubes. I will continue to plug that until I see improvement. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Damn.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So
All right.
send it. Damn.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and get started. Jordan, I know you have a number of topics you want to talk about. You mentioned before you wanted to touch on Logan's revenge on Bethod. Like, what revenge that would he possibly? Like, what would be the cause of his revenge? What did Bethod do to him? We talked about this a couple episodes ago, I believe. But why don't you go ahead and take the lead on that?
Before we do that, can I node check you guys?
Node check us?
Just a node check for some obscure First Law lore.
Okay.
Go on. Give us your best shot.
All right. So it's one of the best chapters. It's between two dentists from the blade itself.
Mm-hmm.
Also, phenomenal line by Glocta. Kind of fucked up, but you see a mural of the Maker's downfall, the Master Maker's downfall.
Mm-hmm.
Below Canadius are two figures. One can be assumed to be Ptolemy. What is the other figure?
Oh, the servant. His hand.
Name?
It's a really obscure name. His name only gets mentioned like twice.
Yeah, when it gets mentioned once. It gets mentioned once. It's Jeremias.
Jeremias.
Yeah, that's right. That's correct.
He's only mentioned once, and last night I was going through PDFs to try and find the name, but I couldn't find the chapter. I believe it's in the Last Argument of Kings when Glocta talks to the adept historian for the second time.
Oh yeah, and he says, "Oh yes, his servant Jeremias."
Yeah, it's some bullshit like that. But it was on my fourth read through when I read that name. I was like, let me try and Google to get anything on this guy. There was nothing else.
No, that's it. Well, that's interesting. We knew that there was somebody. I remember I was going over it, and I think George said, yes, it's Jeremias, but like, it's been too long now.
It's been
That's like a year and a half ago.
When I was on my first read through, I thought maybe it was like an amalgamation of the Shanka, because that was kind of like his army.
It's like the shared entity that is the Shanka.
Yeah. But Logan's revenge. So when I was listening to you guys' last segment, the first two things that came to my mind is, so he came over the mountains to find Bethod to get help with the Shanka. Maybe he never helped them. Because the deal is Logan would help him fight, and Bethod would help him with the Shanka. And from what we understand, the Shanka are a problem. They're especially a problem in the blade itself, and that's the entire reason, like, Logan's dozen goes to seek out Bethod.
Mm-hmm.
That is interesting because Logan does mention that, and then it's never sort of brought up again.
But I think in his internal monologue, or maybe when he was talking to maybe Malachus I think he talked about how he did return to his hometown, his village and pillage, and found it all destroyed. So maybe Bethod and him did return at some point.
I always thought Logan. Well, no, Logan's father sent him.
Yeah,
and then he came back, and they were dead. So
maybe.
Yeah, so he sent him to go get help. He found Bethod. Presumably, the way I've always seen the timeline is, he goes to get help. Bethod says, "Yeah, I'll help you, but you got to fight this battle for me." So he fights. He does his first duel. He wins. and then he's gonna go back and bring help back to the village. But him and Dogman come back, and there is no village. So, I think more time elapsed. But also, that was like 15 years ago. I don't think Logan would be directly, even in his wild state.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys think Dogman and Logan came from the same village?
Yes, I'm about almost 100% positive they did.
I don't believe exact same village, but I believe neighboring village.
Yeah, maybe like the same region for sure, probably.
Because I feel like if they knew each other as children, that would have come up in either of their POVs. Because Logan, and before they're hanged, has an entire like internal monologue about how he's like, "Oh, I used to discuss strategy with Bethod." He even made Grim laugh a few times. But Dogman doesn't really go into like, "Oh, I knew him when I was like."
Yeah, but he did know him though.
Or he just takes him for granted.
He definitely
both.
could
be. It could be, or one or the other, or both.
Yeah, but I do like that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And then my other idea for maybe Logan's revenge on Bethod is I don't think we get the context of Rattleneck's son in the first trilogy, but there's another where we kind of get context of why Logan might be pissed at him. Can we really spoil Sharp Ends or?
Yeah, we do on the guest episodes. Go for it, Jordan.
We know that Rattleneck's son was his prisoner. And then I assume Bethod locked him up after the incident in Sharp Ends.
I don't think he did.
Yeah,
I think that's the problem. The only time that we know that he locked him up and captured him was about 5. I was like 5 to 10 years. Yeah, 10 years after that point is whenever he locked him up.
Yeah,
and that was after he was just done with them.
I believe that comes from a Dogman chapter because he said he spent 10 years scouting for Bethod and now he's scouting against him.
Yeah, and at that point in Made a Monster, Logan didn't defeat Dao yet, so he didn't have Dao under his.
Okay.
But he did have 3 trees at least. We know that.
Yeah. Yep.
So it basically the timeline goes is that his father sent him over to go and get help. So he went to get help. He met Bethod. Beth said he'd help him with the Shanka, but he had to fight for him. He fought for him maybe once, twice, or who knows. With Logan, he could have been gone years and been like whatever. He went back with Dogman, whether Dogman's from the same region or he met him on his travels. Found that Shanka had murdered everybody, so he went back to Bethod, fought for him because he felt like that's all he had, probably part of this issue. He fought at the, Carleon, not Carleon, sorry. Yes, at Carleon and also at Ufrith. Presumably about 5 years or so that he was doing that. And then Sharp End story happens. And then 10 years after that is whenever he gets kicked out on his own. Well, I think it's like 5 years after that because they're on their own for a while too. They don't ever state the time that the dozen were on their own, but they're on their own for several years because they come back to Carleon and they're like, damn, this place is big. But you can't build walls in 60 days. So
right. So in my opinion, Logan's revenge is just kind of contrived in his mind. Like he just feels like Bethod betrayed him by locking him up. And it's just like, well, buddy, like we talked about it before, but what did you think Bethod was going to do? The fuck?
Yeah, I like that because it also...
Sorry, can I just jump in there? I think it's actually quite highly debatable whether Logan would have taken revenge if he hadn't been in Bloody Nine mode at that moment. Like, he went up and he smashed fucking Bethod's head on the wall and threw him over, but he was sort of in that state. Whereas, if they'd hadn't had the duel at all and they'd have just won the battle, maybe Bethod might even still be alive.
Mm-hmm. Possibly. I mean, we remember from the POV that Logan is walking up to Bethod, and he's passing people. So if he was still Bloody Nine, truly
he's
Bloody
not.
Nine,
He's not.
I think putting them open too.
Last argument of Kings is when we get Gru Logan. I've seen some people say Logan is just a fake identity he gave himself. The Bloody Nine is the real Logan, or Bloody Nine is an alter ego. I think the true Logan is both of those intermixed, and I think we see that more in Made a Monster and a sequel
and Red Country.
Yeah, Red Country. I didn't want to spoil, but it's so fucking obvious who that character is. But yeah,
not to like sidetrack too much here, but and not to ruin your topic or anything. I think that's a good point. But we don't talk about Logan too much. We did just talk about him with our previous guest quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I don't want us to be too repetitive. If you guys are on board with that.
Yeah, of course. So let's move on to another topic you want to talk about, Jordan. Go ahead.
So you guys talked about heartfelt moments in your last segment. One person already brought up a really heartfelt moment was Grimm's death, which is probably the death that impacted me the most. But I was gonna ask, what character deaths really like kind of pissed you off, you were ambivalent to, or whatever, or just made you mad or sad?
Jeffrey, what does ambivalent mean?
You don't know? It means like you're not. I'm not too.
Okay.
I think for me, the ones that took me off guard the most were Frost and Severard.
Yes, that was gonna be mine. You piece of shit! You stole it. Can I side diverge to that chapter?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's utterly insane the sequence of that chapter, because you get the horror of Severard getting tortured, then you get the action scene of Frost killing him and Glokta, jab jab, and then you get this weird comedy break where Glokta's like, "Oh, Artie, there's some brain in your hair." It's so quick and so like that's Joe Abercrombie at his peak. It's just mixing all of these genres into one chapter.
I definitely agree. I think it's definitely one of the best moments, and especially because Frost and Severard, Glokta feels so much for them, even though he probably shouldn't trust them, but he does.
Frost was clearly probably motivated by greed, but I don't think Severard was bad to Glokta because he was just doing what Glokta does. He was juggling his knives, and he was like, "I owe Valiant and Bulk." This is never stated, but that's what my headcanon is he was just doing what he had to do because the presence of Valiant and Bulk is so like overwhelming. Fucking Severard and his birds, man.
Not the words.
Jeffrey, what about you? What do you think is like the most impactful character death for you? I think I know what yours is.
It's between Three Trees and Toll, to be honest.
From what we read so far, or the entire series, Jordan?
From what we, from the first trilogy, or just in general, Jordan.
Oh, sorry. I was doing first trilogy.
Yeah, okay, first trilogy. Okay. Toll's gut wrenching for me. Toll's gut wrenching, just because like Three Trees, you kind of see it. It's like, oh no, but Toll, man, my heart fucking sank. I almost shat myself. I wanted to punch my fucking book. I was like, God damn it, Logan.
Hot take. I like the fight of Three Trees and his boys versus Fenris more than Logan.
Oh,
because the fight scene.
Mm-hmm.
I love that because you don't really know about Fenris, and you just see like Shivers like spears him through the heart or like the armpit, Dow, and they're talking about that was a killing blow. That should have killed them. And you're like, what the fuck is going on with this guy?
I mean, it's definitely like that. Like Fenris is basically like the unmovable object, isn't he? Like you can't do anything against him. So to see someone so brave and determined to go up against that and just get absolutely smashed is pretty terrifying.
You see it from Dogman's POV, and Dogman is like, I should just leave. I shouldn't be here. Like his like absolute cowardice, and someone I believe asked him, is like, do we go on 3? And Dogman's like, it doesn't matter as long as you just go.
It seems pretty great. I think go ahead.
I was gonna say Toll's death fits into my makes me pissed category, mostly because I'm like, you guys fucking know Logan. Maybe in the 10 years you thought he changed, but don't touch him when he's in a fight. Toll, why did you do that?
Yeah, that definitely seems like
You cut out, George. Repeat that.
It's just the fact that he was trying to help Logan in that fight. It's terrible.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it is terrible.
And he was like, "Come on, big fella, you're okay." And then I was like, "Oh no, oh no,
Oh no!
please don't." All right.
So what about you, Harrison?
It's strange because like deaths are just like that's so tragic and things, but like I always think that the one for some reason I don't know why. I said it in the poll too, but like at least in the original trilogy, like Grimm's death is like,
Yep.
you know, as I kind of said in the podcast previously, it's like it's almost like the end of an era, and I don't know why my brain ties it to that, but like, and the way he goes out and how he's like one of the only characters who gets like that sweet moment right before death of saying, no, I had a good life. I like, yeah, and like to know that he was that grateful all along, to know that he was one of the best people out there, somebody who actually knew how to live life. It's just, it makes me tear up every time. Every single time I read it.
I know you guys don't want to retread on topics too much, but I just love the quote where he's like, "I should have died in the circle with Logan. Every day after that has been a gift." Damn.
Yeah.
That's Grimm's second best quote. The first one is, "You're going south, we're going north. I've got to piss."
That's great.
Thought it was gonna be a shame, a waste of a good bell. All right, awesome.
I love that. Like I believe in that scene. That was all like after like 3 Trees death, you've been talking a lot more, and I fucking hate it. Just now being cynical as shit.
Mhm.
Yeah. So apart from Severard and Frost, what would you say is your second saddest then, since I stole yours?
My first is Grimm, then Severard and Frost, and then a death that I was ambivalent for, not caring about, with Cathel, because it kind of just seemed like she was introduced just to die, and to show that Column is an incel.
Yeah.
So the actual scene itself, when they're cutting the arrow out of her, and Dogman's like super intense, and they're trying to get it done, and they're trying to save her life, and I think it's Shivers or Dow or something, just like, you know, she's already gone. Like that itself is an awful scene, isn't it?
Yeah.
I believe that's 3 Trees.
Yeah.
It's 3 Trees.
And 3 Trees does a very like 3 Trees thing. He's like, "Hey, we have to do this. She's gonna die either way, but if we're gonna try and save her."
Do you guys have any deaths you're ambivalent about?
It's hard to say.
Mhm.
It is hard. I'm trying to think of specific ones, especially like major characters, and I can't think of many that I just don't care about at all. I think maybe West at the end because it's so drawn out, and it's just I feel bad for Glockter more than I feel bad for West. You know,
Mhm.
because he's losing his friend, whereas West is more like, you know, he probably thinks he deserves it, so he's just like, whatever.
Well, George is cruel. Okay.
No, he's realistic. True.
You got to be
He's always
realistic.
Busy now.
I think off the top of my head, like the one I feel the least like it is like I guess just don't care about. There are two, right? I don't know how far out we want to get with this, but Reynaud dies, if you guys recall. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, like like we only see him from, I believe, Giselle's POV, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, he's okay."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the only other one I feel like, honestly, is like Salt's death or his implied death. It's just kind of like, yeah, I just don't feel anything at that point. My satisfaction with Salt, it was him being bested by Glockta in that big room. Whenever he's like, "You crippled wob," you know, it's just like at that point,
"You crippled bastard!"
yeah. At that point, like whenever they show him again, like it's funny, but also like I don't feel anything about his death, both character wise or his journey's over. It's whatever.
I think the funniest thing about his death is like Glockta's like, "Oh, this is the reason that all that shit happened to you," which isn't even the case, because
the pike.
Glockta was searching the Mercers before Salt even gave him the A-OK. He's like, "Okay, keep doing it."
Yeah, that's
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, like Sol comes down in that first chapter, and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing? Why have you got a mercer in there?" And then he's like, "Oh yeah, no, don't worry about it."
Yeah, so like Sailor Moon has no reason to hate fucking Salt. That was just Glocta.
Well, Glockta just shifted the blame. He was like, listen, fuck that.
I'm about to get stabbed. I want to die, but I don't want to lose. Whatever.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on real quick. We're gonna move on to our best meme of the week segment. Georgie boy, that's yours. Take it away.
So some people might notice that these aren't going to be all the top rated ones for the week because we are recording 3 episodes this week, so I'm going to have to kind of pick and choose for these. But this is user on Reddit Lickshots419, and this guy dressed in a fucking hot dog costume. Logan after he murders the Thunderhead. We're all trying to find the guy who did this.
I would like to point out I did not make this meme or the other meme or any meme ever.
That's true. We mistakenly attributed to him yesterday, I think, right? Or the episode we just recorded the other day. So
Yeah.
Whoopsies.
I think this is Lickshot's 3rd meme of the week so far. So keep going, make the good memes.
Yeah, keep it going. Thanks for that. Also, as an aside, real quick, I do want to point out Jordan Slamsley is not responsible, right, for the original, Wearing of Bleh winning best non-POV. That was Harrison, but whatever.
I just did a bullshit fucking poll. I did change my Reddit tag to Wearing a Bleh because I like metal, and that's funny.
So let's go on to another topic that you want to cover, Jordan. Go ahead.
All right, so I'll give my 2. Are there standout chapters from the first 3 books that you guys, when you think of the first law, first trilogy, you think of? Because I have 2, and they're both from the Blade itself. And they're very non-consequential, really, chapters. But one is, I believe, the chapter where Logan is just exploring Ardua, and he doesn't understand anything. He's like, there's pipes underneath my feet that give water. And he's just so confused about the culture and society of Ardua, which I think is hilarious. And then there's multiple chapters called questions throughout the books, but it's when Glocta goes to question Logan, Quai, and Baez. And he's just not taking anything what they're saying. And he's like, if you're the first of the Magi, I'm the Emperor of Gurkle. And he's like, kneel. But Glocta is so has such a boner for getting the questions. He doesn't realize none of them are freaked out by him. None of them call him a cripple or anything. They're actually just like, oh yeah, this is what's going on. Those are my 2 favorite chapters from the first trilogy.
I like that. I like those ones. I especially like the one where Proctor goes to interrogate them, and that is really funny. He just doesn't believe a single word they're saying, especially when he's talking to Logan, and he's like, "Oh yeah, this guy could be a spy." What are you doing here? And it's like, "Oh, I don't know, just came with bias, He's like, just like, yeah, all right, whatever."
He's like, "Are you magic?" He's like, "No, not really." Pause. I can talk to spirits, though. And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude?
Oh, that's funny. What about you guys, Jeff?
Standout chapters. Well, from the original trilogy, I do like the And Before They're Hanged. I like whatchamacallit.
Best book.
Which one? Oh, you said best book.
They're hanged. Best book.
Yeah. I like the first battle where Ladislaw falls into Bethod's trap, and just the tension, the early looks of success, and then how it just devolves into complete horror and chaos. That really stood out to me. And then at the end when Dogman was like, 3 Trees is not going to believe what I just found.
Yeah, 3 Trees is gonna shit.
He's going to shit. What else? I like the scene in Before They're Hanged as well, when the Fellowship they're having that campfire. And the
Scars?
discussion. Yeah, and Scars. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that one's so good. I love that like everyone's actually kind of impressed by Longfoot, best character by the way. When he's like, oh, he's like talking about like how he got bit by a fish, and they're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
He was like, it was a big fish indeed.
I'm gonna say for me, it's got to be Furious in
Furious.
before they're hanged when fucking West just pushes Ladislaw off the cliff.
Bit his fucking nose off.
But and he bites his fucking, and the whole interaction with Dow and West as well. That is absolutely incredible.
Oh yeah, I love
character
Dow in
work
that
there.
chapter. It's crazy. So like you get all this buildup that West has anger issues. But when he kills Ladislaw, it's described in the book that he's cold. He's not pissed off. It's just like a calm, neutral cold. And I'm like, that's cold-blooded. Like he's not like heated up and freaking out and being like, why won't you fuck me, Cathal? He's just like, bye.
Can you imagine if he said that? That'd be really fucked up.
It would be.
We'd have to make a whole podcast just dedicated to hating on West at that point.
Yeah,
you guys
I'm
hate on
doing
West a little
Slamsley
bit
from
way
the
too
I
much.
Hate Colin West podcast.
So what else?
My favorite chapter.
Yeah, thank you. Awesome.
It's probably it's really hard to like pick one, you know, like when we talk about all the things, but I really like. Honestly, I'm just gonna full send them both because I just think they're both fantastic. Both chapters with the House of the Maker are incredible.
Dude.
I feel like they're the climaxes of both those books in certain ways, and they build up in such a way, and it's creepy, and it has such a different vibe to the entire rest of the series that there really are some of my favorite chapters, just like on the unique side of the book.
When I first read the first chapter that was in the House of the Maker, I was talking to my other fantasy friend. I was like, dude, this shit got weird. Like it's
Yeah.
it's like a weird kind of liminal space horror where you just like, I have no idea what's going on.
You feel like Cthulhu's about to come out and just fucking eat them or something. It's so ambiguous and like haunting. But at the same time, there's so much character work done in the House of the Maker, which is like, of course, at the same time, like very reminiscent of like how many big events have happened in Baez's life in that house. It's just so I don't know. The House of the Maker is so unique.
I think one thing that also really sells that is that they go through all these chambers and they get to the top. And everyone's like, oh, look at Adjua. And Giselle's like, I could piss on peasants right here. And Glock is like, we didn't walk up any stairs. And I was like, holy shit, they didn't. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Just complete mind blow.
Like that. Okay. Those are worthy chapters, we'll say, right?
They're the only chapters. Everyone else's opinion is wrong.
Jordan, I know you wanted to talk to us about, you had mentioned reading the first trilogy, like how did you get into the first law, and also thoughts after reading the first trilogy. Did you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I'm always down because yeah,
feel free.
I can start off. So I got into the first law 6 months ago.
Oh,
right around then.
Wow.
Yeah. So it started off because my work started letting us have headphones at work, and I was like, okay, bet. And my friend was like, yo, you got to check out this series called the Stormlight Archive. And I was like, okay, this is cool. And he's like, and then like after I finished it, he's like, oh, I'm listening to my favorite series, The First Law. And I was like, you like that more than Stormlight? And I kind of just put it off. And I started listening to The First Law 6 months ago because someone else mentioned it again. And I'm like, holy shit. What the fuck? Why was I listening to Stormlight? Those characters aren't believable. Those are not humans.
Yeah, I couldn't go back to Stormlight or any kind of Brandon Sanderson stuff after I read any Abercrombie at all. Like, it's just not comparable.
Yeah, I understand the love for Stormlight, and I still don't hate it. I still like it, but it's just like the character work is so flat. But I'm not gonna make this the complaint podcast. I'm gonna talk about first law.
We only hate on Column West, not Stormlight Archive.
Yeah, fuck Column. But I joined like the Reddit after I finished the Blade itself because I just wanted to talk to people about it.
Spoiled.
Yeah. If you are treating this podcast as a book club and reading a chapter and listening to a podcast talking about a chapter, don't look up the Reddit. Don't look up the wiki. You will fuck yourself. I fucked myself. But I saw a lot of people putting Blade itself actually kind of low on their tier list. I'm like, how is it so low? The Blade itself is amazing. And then I read the rest of it and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Joe Abercrombie is fucking crazy. But it's kind of changed my feelings. I don't super do grimdark, but I feel like the first law is grimdark light because it feels like there's hope. I feel like there's hope. Even though all this shitty shit happens, I feel like there's like a glimmer. Maybe
I have a thought on that, Jordan. It's basically I really just don't think it's that grim dark at all. Like is it like fantastical and pretty? Like no, but like there are plenty of bright moments in the series, and for the most part, it just feels like normal people, inside of this fantasy world living their lives as people. And people think that's dark and gritty, but they either don't realize how dark and gritty our world is, I think, or they're just used to seeing it as grim dark. I just don't think it is. I just think other things are lighter, but on purpose. It doesn't feel as real as the first law does to me.
Yeah. If I can like put a bit of like personal thing, it's like people think Berserk, the manga, is grimdark, but it's like, yeah, it's only kind of a little bit, but towards the end you start getting more like, oh, this is the human condition.
And there is definitely elements of that in Joe Abercrombie's work. Like, he's definitely trying to point to certain things in the real world and be like, well, that's shit, isn't it? Banks.
I don't think he has a problem with banks. I think he just has a problem with bald people. Not all bald people are evil, Joe.
Astute observation. Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of how like the first law trilogy affected me. It's kind of like, I was gonna say that'll wrap up what first law kind of means to me. The trilogy, it's changed my scope of media, and now like I like seeing very humanized characters that make sense.
No, absolutely. Okay.
Well, that's good as well, because it's every other person that we've spoken to on these guest spots has, well, apart from Stephanie, I think, has kind of been like a long-term reader, more than a few years. But it's interesting to talk to somebody who's only recently read them and has this sort of more of a fresh perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, you're a newbie, but bringing a lot of thoughts to the to the series.
Yeah, it's weird. It's kind of my comfort series. Like, I'll read another series, and then I'm like, what should I read next? I'll just read the first law again. All 10 books, 11 books now.
Yeah.
I just want to hang out and see what Dogman is up to.
I know.
Oh, Dogman. What a mensch. What a mensch. Did you guys want to talk about how you got into the series, or did we even talk about that before?
I think we've done that like a few times.
We actually do it almost every
every episode.
No, yeah, we actually do talk about our feelings about the. I think we do talk about like what he's talking about. Like, we even ask. Honestly, it's kind of funny, Jordan. You have ended up going over our questions for you that we usually like to do at the end. Like, what's your favorite book? Well, you just told us. Oh, well, how did it impact you? Oh, okay. When did you start reading? Oh, got it.
I cheated when I said my favorite book. My top 3 are all from the 3 different trilogies, if you count the standalones of the trilogy.
Yeah, they are. The Great Leveler. What are your top 3 books?
In no particular order. Heroes, the wisdom, not the wisdom. Second book in the third trilogy,
Trouble Peace.
Trouble with Peace, and then Before They're Hanged.
To be honest, that's pretty much mine as well. Except for maybe I'm leaning a bit more towards Red Country.
I feel like people shit on Age of Madness a lot, but it's like, have you read the second book? The Trouble with Peace? That is like masterclass.
Yeah, the Trouble with Peace is my favorite book, maybe of all time. Like, it's just so well executed, and you could even just read the Trouble with Peace without other context, and it still is amazing. Like, it's crazy how much ground it covers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I did want to say a shout out to Red Country. There's a chapter where a dog smells a turd, doesn't like it, and then shits next to it and leaves. That is a real thing that happens in that book.
It's basically a real thing that happens in real life.
There's definitely some kind of deeper poetic meaning there.
Mm-hmm.
Joe's trying to make some commentary about something.
About dog turds.
About dogs. Yeah.
Jordan, you also mentioned you wanted to talk about the morality in the First Law series, like that whole thing. What do you want to talk about?
So I've seen some things where just people think morality doesn't exist in the First Law. People are bad people, but I think there are a few standouts of people that are good people. Haddish Kedir is my number one, and you see it at the end. You only see this character a little bit. Eris Dan Caspar. You see her in Giselle's POV when he's swooning over Artie, and he just doesn't care. She seems very vapid and airheaded. But at the end, when West is in the hospital, she's just there volunteering to help people out. So she's not as just airheaded nobility idiot. She's just helping people out with no gain for herself.
That is interesting. I don't think we ever touched on our chapter at all.
That's true.
She definitely. I mean, I think the first impression of her is a little bit coloured by Giselle's, obviously. You know, like you said, smitten with RD. So you know, anybody else is going to look like that. I mean, he's definitely exaggerating a certain amount, surely.
To quote Glockta, Giselle is literally blah blah fucking blah.
Blah blah fucking blah.
I would say like even Artie isn't a bad person. I mean, she's an alcoholic, but she's not a bad person. I think good and bad people can exist in the First Law, and they oftentimes like mix together. Like Logan is an evil person, but he talks about how he used to teach his son how to fish by tickling the fishes. So like he's layered. Baez, I think, even isn't just straight megalomaniac evil. I think you guys talked about it in your last segment. He just likes talking to Logan and having tea.
Mm-hmm.
And smoking wizard weed or whatever he does.
Does Baez smoke a pipe?
I don't think he makes a pipe. No. Does he?
No, he does not. I don't think he ever does. He likes tea. He's more of a tea guy. He's very British.
Very British.
British.
Very evil.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
Any other standouts in terms of morality for you guys?
I would say Carlot. I think Carlot is actually trying to.
I mean, yeah, Carlot Danide is. Go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
No, I was just saying Carlot Danide. Ooh, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely has more altruistic sort of motivations than most other characters, I'd say. Like, she genuinely is like, you know, we're not doing any good here. The Union isn't doing any good here, so, you know, we might as well surrender while we can.
Right.
Which is not the worst thing to do. I mean, everybody would have been better off except Glockta.
Right, and people would have, you know, lived like one of the reasons she gave was because people are going to die for what? Just to say we own this piece of land or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
This one pinprick on a map that we like the Union couldn't even own because it's nowhere near their land.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they try to make it their own, but you know, doesn't always work out.
We
so
see
well.
that same shit in Westport.
Oh,
True.
right. We do see that later on, though. We do see that later on.
I know it's at least mentioned. Westport is at least mentioned because they talk about one of the open council members from Westport going to Adua to, hey, make me king.
Yeah.
And that guy from Stericland.
I remember that. So, Jordan, you also mentioned that you wanted to talk about Joe Abercrombie's own rereads of the books.
Yes.
Go for it.
So I was just kind of like going through it and picking out fine things. He believes that at the beginning of Last Argument of Kings, he doesn't like Giselle or Glocta's chapters because he feels like they're kind of like meandering. But I figured this would be interesting for you guys to read and talk about on a podcast for next episode. He also brings up Therese. And he doesn't like that it just kind of feels like evil lesbians getting their comeuppance, which I thought was interesting because he says that he doesn't feel like his female characters in the first trilogy are that good. But I think there's some standouts. Artie, Vitari, like they don't feel like, oh, this character is woman. They feel like people.
Yeah. I mean, especially with Pharaoh and Ardy, like, but I think I do think people's sort of anger about Therese is a little bit justified.
Yeah.
She is probably, she's not very well. I'll actually just leave it there. But
I mean,
I'll say
she's
I
very
love
mean.
Therese. I love Therese in the third trilogy. You get more insight to her as a character.
Yeah. But Harrison, you were saying she's very mean.
She's very mean. That's just as easy as it goes. Like you can be mean and you can be a lesbian and you can be mean and you can be straight. Yeah. You're mean either way. So I don't think anybody is going to argue that. So.
Oh, he also believes Ptolemy is very underdeveloped, but she's kind of just like a D&D ghoul.
That reference went over my head, so I'm assuming a terrible, terrible character thing.
Sure, Jeff.
Sorry.
And to finish it off, I remembered this from when I read it last night. His thoughts on the series as a whole. He feels the second book is the best and smoothest and tightest compared to the Blade itself in Last Argument.
That's
Jeff
true.
agrees with us. I mean, Joe agrees with us. Fuck's sake.
Oh,
Yeah.
He also said he feels like Last Argument of Kings is too actiony, which I don't think is a bad thing. But yeah, like you get the battle at the high places, the Battle of Adua, crazy. There's so much shit going on.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the everything's coming to a close, so you have to have this resolution, and a lot of them is going to result in battles,
Yeah,
and then the last thing on my list was Drano because I accidentally typed it in when I was making a group.
Drano?
Yep.
Okay. That's our show, everyone. We want to thank you all for listening and supporting this podcast. As you all know, this is a passion project for the three of us, and your support really does mean a lot to us.
Join us next week as we have one more special guest episode.
And the lucky winner of the book has been selected and been sent out, so keep an eye out for that whenever it arrives. Make sure you follow us on social media, and we have a website. It's circleoftheworld.com.
And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or any podcast app that you use. And please make sure to rate and review this podcast. Thank you all again for listening.
That bitch talks too much.